I always want to see pictures of chert. Always. I love chert. People think I'm weird because I'm like, ooh, that's a nice chert. You can use the word chert like a cuss word. Ah, chert. It's such a good word. Basic crystals. This is Crystals 101, presented through the Urban Conservatory Discord Witchcraft server. Witchcraft Discord server? Discord Witchcraft server. I don't know. Some order of words. We're going to talk about the basic rocks and crystals, and we're going to start off with feldspar. And I'm going to dive right in, and I'm going to move real fast because I said to myself, let's talk about just the basic rocks, the most common ones. Okay, self, that sounds great. Followed by, oh, that's a lot of rocks. So we're going to truck. Feldspar makes up 41% of the mineral content of the continents. Soil, the dirt that's outside your front door, is composed of inorganic minerals, like feldspar, and organic material, like leaves, mulch, stuff like that, that's gotten mixed in and tilled in. Most of it's feldspar. A fair chunk of it is silicon dioxide, or silicon oxide in general, quartz, and quartz amalgam rocks, in varying particle sizes, ranging from rocks to gravel to very fine particles to silt. Feldspar. It is a crystalline mineral. It is metamorphic. It arose from magma. Some examples of feldspars that you will run across that are used energetically and for magic stuff: albite, oligoclase, andesine, labradorite, bautonite, anorthite, adularia, amazonite, azulcite, moonstone, orthoclase, Paracelsian, and sunstone. The upstairs neighbors are once again practicing their TikTok dances, and I know for a fact that's what they did because earlier today one of them came downstairs, put her phone on the top of the fence, and did a TikTok dance in the snow that apparently involved a cartwheel, and she did not stick the landing. She busted hard in the snow, and it was hilarious. So I suspect she's trying to perfect her cartwheel upstairs, and if she falls through, we're going to have some words. Like lots of words. Feldspars, as a group, most feldspars, they have the same basic vibe to them. There's just specificities to what they do that tilts things and changes stuff up. And if you hear tingling noises in the background, like ching, 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 that's the Shih Tzu eating her dinner, and the tag on her collar hits the bowl. Sorry. So feldspar is good for transformation, revitalization, communication, and self-love with feldspars. My faves. Labradorite, also known as spectrolite. Spectrolite is a term that's used specifically to refer to extra brilliant examples of labradorite. It was first found in Labrador, Canada, but it's from, labradorite comes from Brazil, North America, Canada, Poland, and Malaysia. Yet they are not sticking the landing at all. They continue to fall flat over. So labradorescence is a word that was coined to describe what labradorite does. When you hold a piece of labradorite in your hand and you move it, kind of, you tilt it around, the flash changes, the labradorescence changes. It changes the way it sparkles, the way it flashes, the way it shines. Pardon me. Chunks of labradorite are gray or white, or sometimes kind of like really dark gray, like charcoal gray, but oftentimes a pale gray-y white, like a dirty white. They have blue, teal, purple, green, orange, and red flashes in it, though. So at first you'd be like, that's an ugly rock, until you turn it just right, and all of a sudden it's not ugly at all. It's really pretty. Labradorite cleans the aura and aligns the energetic bodies with the physical. So if you are taking my energy work course and having trouble with centering, labradorite might help. Amazonite, one of my favorite stones. Amazonite's also a feldspar. It was discovered in Brazil, named after the Amazon River. It's usually turquoise, but it can be white, yellow, or gray. It aids in the reduction of aggression and promotes peace and communion and communication. And when you hold it in your hand, it's just the most calming. I need a piece of Amazonite, is what I'm saying. The neighbors need Amazonite. I should throw it at them. Hand it to them nicely. So I could have gone into more of the feldspars, but there's a lot. There's a lot to cover tonight. I'm so sorry. There's a bunch. So let's talk about chalcedony. That's how you say it. Chalcedony. Chalcedony. Funny looking word. It's a very old word. Chalcedony refers to an entire category of minerals. They are silicized stones. They are a replacement mineral. This means that the original, whatever it was, has been replaced with silica oxide. SiO2 or SiO4 depends on what it was doing when it was forming, but basically it's the same stuff. Silicon oxide. Whoops. Not Coda says, I've been saying chalcedony. Chalcedony. Yeah, that's not how that's pronounced. Chalcedony. Chalcedony. Various, oftentimes organic materials that have either soaked in and then eventually been replaced by silicon oxide, or puddles of silicon oxide that just congealed and crystallized. Now, this is from silicon oxide dissolved in water. Doesn't happen very often, but when it does, back in the prehistory of the formation of the planet, silicon oxide was dissolved in water and permeated, like, say, a fallen over tree. This fallen over tree was silicized and became petrified wood, which is technically a kind of chalcedony. Actually, it's a kind of chert, which is a kind of chalcedony. Right? Layers. Layers upon layers upon layers here. We're drilling down. We're getting to the good stuff. Chalcedony has been used by human beings for basically our entire existence. It's one of the first stones that we picked up and went, ooh, this is useful. All agates, all cherts, jasper, carnelian, chrysoprase, heliotrope, moss agate, chrome chalcedony, onyx, and sardonyx are types of chalcedony. Onyx and sardonyx are black and white, or brownish and white, banded stones that were used in stone carving to create cameos. So, before a cameo was a guest appearance on a television program, a cameo was often a small piece of art that was hand carved and took advantage of the layered effect of onyx and sardonyx, so that you would chip away all of the, it would create the effect of a silhouette, often in white on a dark background. Heads in profile were very common for cameos. They're made out of onyx and sardonyx. All agates, all of them, It has an amorphous molecular structure. This means that instead of crystallizing into the form of quartz, it stayed amorphous. A crystalline structure is a rigid, repeating structure. The molecules line up in a very specific way. So water, when it is liquid, it is amorphous. When water freezes, it is crystalline. Same basic idea. Chalcedony is amorphous. Quartz is crystalline. Chert. We love chert. Chert is so good. Chert's basically mud. Silicized mud. Organic material that was silicized, in some cases, 3,700 million years ago. So 3,700,000,000 years ago. We're talking some cherts predate single-celled organisms. They are old. They are old rocks, but they're so good. Chert. We love chert. Chert is the best. Chert often has fossils in it. A turritella agate, or a turritella agate. Agate. I always say it wrong. Agate? Blah. Oh, I need water. A reminder, drink water. Turritella is a kind of agate, which is a kind of chalcedony. So same basic thing. That has tons of little shell fossils in it. It's so cool looking. Chert often is composed of silicized diatoms and plankton. Cyanobacteria will turn chert kind of a greeny color. Chert can come in all sorts of pretty colors, mostly in the, brownish, grayish, blackish range, somewhere in there. But flint, jasper, novaculite, diatomite, and petrified wood are all examples of chert. Flint played a huge role in our species' development. We figured out that if you smack chert with something softer than it, not harder, it just shatters. Softer, so a piece of bone, like a femur, you smack it with a piece of bone and you can cause flakes to pop off of it. And you can, if you're good at this, you can shape the flakes and create arrowheads, spear tips, and knives out of chert. In the Stone Age, when they were making stone weapons, that's what they made them out of. Chert. All the way up through the Hopewell civilization and, we're getting very, very close, all the way up to and into the agricultural revolution in human history. We were using flint, which is a kind of chert, to make sharp things. So, chert. I love chert. Chert is so cool. And it is everywhere. It is ubiquitous. There are some bands of chert that are used to date what's around it. Geologists will dig in and then look at the layers of dirt and say, this layer, so like the KT layer, they look at that kind of stuff. But they can look at the bands of chert and tell by the color of it how old it is. Agate. I'm slightly cheating in this picture, by the way. Not everything in that picture is an agate. Some of it's chalcedony. Some of it's carnelian. One of it is heliotrope. But they're all mine. That's out of my collection. It is an amorphous crystalline structure, literally any color possible. As you can see from that picture, we got pink, we got red, orange, yellow, green, blue. There's some kind of purpley tints in one of them. There's a blue lace agate in that picture. There's a heliotrope is also bloodstone. That's in there. Then we got picture jasper. Tons of it. It's often named after a particular variety, where it came from. Agate in general repels sickness, increases health, and stimulates mental processes and mental acuity. If Here, if you're in the class, I shared a document, and in that document, I have a non-comprehensive list of agates. The document has a short sentence, sometimes just 2 words, about what these agates are for. But obviously I couldn't put that into the slide. It wouldn't fit. And this is, like I say, a non-comprehensive list of agates because there's more. There's more than this. This is not all of them. Yikes, guys. This is why when people were like, oh, can you do one on specific agate? No. Kind of, but no. Angel wing, blue lace, botryoidal, Botswana agate. I have a piece of Botswana and I could not find it. Oh, it's driving me nuts. Brazilian agate, carnelian, damsonite, dendritic agate, dryhead agate, Ellensburg blue fire flame, Mexican flame, graveyard plume agate, and Kerry plume agate, holly blue agate, iris agate, Laguna agate, Lake Superior, Mexican lace, Montana moss, ocean spray, orbicular, plasma polka dot plume, pride plume, purple sage, Regency rose, rose eye, snakeskin, stinking water plume. That's a thing. Turritella and Woodward Ranch plume agate. Ha ha! Allie in the chat says, you should sing all the kinds of agate to the tune of Yakko's World. Oh yeah. I'd stumble over my tongue so hard. Quartzes. And all of those, by the way, come from one source. That is from the Love is in the Earth crystal book by Melody. I did not branch out because, oh my god, there's so many. So quartz is silicon dioxide crystallized. You can see, if you look at that, that is a crystal sphere. An extreme close-up. That sphere is not that big. That's only about a 1.5 inches in diameter. But you can see that there are fracture marks. There's inclusions in it. It's almost clear, but kind of cloudy. It's not a milk quartz. That's a middle-of-the-road crystal quartz chunk. Quartz can occur in every color. Not kidding. All of them. Points, clusters, carved shapes. Quartz, the word derives from the Germanic cores, just no T. Cores. Pliny the Elder identified quartz as frozen water that had been frozen for so long it had forgotten how to melt. People believed that all the way up to the 17th century. So, it's been used in carved jewelry and art pieces. Large chunks of just clear quartz have been used to create carved crystal entire decanters. So a decanter is it's a fancy thingy with a stopper, little crystal stopper. It's a big bottle that when you brought home a bottle of like booze, you know, the fancy stuff, you brought home your bottle of sherry, you would decant it into a decanter. So dump it in a decanter so that when you served it to your guests, you looked fancy. When placed under mechanical stress or heated, it produces an electrical spark that's been used by human beings to regulate machinery, including timepieces. That's why Timex is like, it's a quartz timepiece. It has a literal piece of quartz in it, because part of what it does when you wind up a Timex, it winds the mainspring that starts things moving, that then sits in there and ticks. And what it's doing, the tick you hear, it's tapping on a quartz to produce a regular spark of electricity that moves the second hand. That's what it's doing. Quartz is fantastic. To quote, "Love is in the earth." This is also in the document, by the way. Quartz has both piezoelectric and pyroelectric properties. The polarity of the quartz crystal will change when it is either subjected to pressure or heat. as well as when it is held in the hand. The tip, normally positive and receiving energy, will then change and become negative, thus emitting energy, which will radiate from the tip or from an edge. These properties support the amplification, focusing, storage, transfer, and transformation of energy. In energetic work, when a crystal healer is working with a quartz, they will use a point. A point refers to a single crystal. One point. It can be single or double terminated. A single termination means it has one fully formed pointy bit and the other end of it was attached to a greater formation. A double terminated means that that particular crystal was not attached to anything and both ends of it are poiky boy out. In this image on this slide that you see, the three on the lower far right, those are double terminated crystals. Okay. And also, there's a fourth one in there, but it's hard to tell because I accidentally had a crossed set. Touch it. Go me. You can also use clusters. A cluster is more than one crystal in a cluster. They're stuck together. That's how they grow. They can be oriented pointing in the same basic direction, or they might be crossed, or you might have a crystal growing all sorts of stuff on top of it. There's a whole bunch of different shapes in there. It's hard to tell, but the largest of those crystals would be that kind of milky looking one in the upper left corner. That's about the size of one joint of my pinky finger. Those are all very small crystals. It doesn't make them less powerful. It just makes them pretty. Pocket-sized. Let me look at the chat. No questions? I know I'm going fast. Brace yourselves, because it's about to get faster. Let me look. Oh, yeah. Okay. We're gonna... Discord just blinked. Just don't do that. I don't know why it did that. So we're going to talk about... I'm going to go back to this. The document has types of quartz formations used in energetic healing. And I did my best to describe them. Along with a couple of words about what they're used for. All of this information comes from Love is in the Earth by Melody, because this book is basically... Like, if you look up any of these crystal formations on the internet, you're gonna get Melody's information. She wrote the book. It is the final authority. It just is. An activation crystal, left and right oriented. Aperture crystal, barnacle crystal, bridge crystal, a Buddha crystal, a carved natural crystal, a channeling crystal. I don't have one of those. I want one. Because a channeling crystal has a 7-sided face and a 3-sided face. Hard to get. Crystal, they don't normally grow like that. They grow with 6 sides for most crystals. A cluster of crystals, convoluted sheet quartz, a cross crystal, curved crystal, double terminated crystal. I have those. Celestial crystal, etched crystal, fade-in crystal. A fade-in crystal it looks like a thread in it. That's all. Some of these points have inclusions and phantoms inside of them. And it's hard to see because there's so many, and it's kind of an artistic-y shot, but you can get a feel for what I mean when I say a point that has stuff inside. A generator crystal, growth interference crystal, horn of plenty crystal, Jacari crystal, Japan law twin crystal, a key crystal, a laser wand crystal, a lens crystal, a manifestation, nodule, pinnacle, pocket, rainbow, record keeper, scepter, reversed scepter, seer stone, self-healed, 7 and 8 faced crystals. I want sheet crystal, shovel crystal, singing crystal, spade crystal, spiral crystal, tabby crystal, channeling crystal, transmitter crystal, transformation crystal, and twin crystals, and window crystals. Whew. Yeah. But wait, there's more. Human beings were not happy with the variety of colors possible in normal quartz points and rocks. So we figured out how to change them. We can change them by dyeing them, by heating them, it causes color changes, or by applying a molecule thick layer of metal onto them. So, in addition to all of the formations, which was talking only, purely about the shape of the crystal, we've got the specialty quartzes, which are special colored crystals. The aqua aura quartz. Any of the quartzes that are called an aura have been treated. Those do not occur naturally out in Mother Nature, okay? That doesn't happen. That it's been effectively electroplated to put a layer of metal on the crystal. An aqua aura quartz has a gold coating, and it turned it kind of aqua colored. They're the ones that are sort of bluey white shimmery. They have gold on them. They stimulate the throat chakra. A citrine and clear quartz as a combination stone. Citrine and smoky quartz, often as a result of an uneven heat treatment. Because if you treat amethyst, you can warm it. You can go to citrine. If you heat citrine far enough, you turn it smoky, and smoky you can heat treat to enrich in its color. So it's possible to get a citrine and smoky quartz combo stone. A blue quartz often has blue rutile, zoisite, or tourmaline inclusions. Dendritic quartz. The two on the far left in this particular picture of the crystal points, those are dendritic. They have, it looks like moss inside the stone. Also, the one in the far back that kind of looks like there's a tree in it, dendritic. Dendritic means tree. Golden healer quartz has been coated in iron hydrate, and it turned it gold colored. Green quartz. Most samples of it are heat treated. It does occur naturally in Brazil, Poland, and Canada as praesiolite. If it's called praesiolite, it's green quartz. Harlequin quartz has dots or strings of hematite or lepidocrosite inside of it. An included quartz is a clear quartz that has stuff inside. That's pretty much everything you see on here. All of those have inclusions. They all do. Some of them have colorful inclusions. The one that's in the very, very front that you don't see the bottom of, that is an included quartz. You see that it looks like there's cloudy stuff floating inside of the stone. That's what that means. Asbestos included quartz would be a few threads rather than a whole bunch. A whole bunch of asbestos included inside of quartz, especially amorphous, would be tiger's eye. Inside of quartz, it's just asbestos included quartz. Cuprite is the ones with the green speckledies. Copper. That's cuprite, copper. Carbon has elements of purification, and it has just chunks of pure carbon in it. It has the black flecky bits. Those would be carbon. A lavender quartz is a type of rose quartz. It's really pretty. An opal aura quartz has been enhanced with platinum. The phantom quartz, it's a phantom inside the crystal that looks like another crystal inside of it. The best example of that one is the green one that's pretty much right in the middle. You can see that those green, the green inclusions are along the same growth lines as the main shape of the crystal. That would be a phantom. It looks like there's a crystal inside of a crystal. Different color phantoms carry different meanings. It's exhaustive. A raspberry quartz has inclusions of lepidocrosite, hematite, or goethite. A red quartz, incredibly rare. Most of them aren't red. Rutilated quartz includes, it has rutile or saginite inside of it. A strawberry quartz would be a strawberry pink looking quartz. Tibetan quartz comes from Tibet. And I'm relatively certain they named it Tibetan quartz because they just had to be extra. And tourmalinated quartz has tourmaline inside the quartz because those minerals often grow together on one another. Not codices, so is it better to have natural crystals or man-made? That is a question for you to answer for yourself. I mentioned it briefly in the document that quartz is pit mined. All of it. It's pit mined. That's how they dig it up. And in less well-regulated countries, those mines are often it's child labor. They use kids. I covered a lot of this in the second episode about ethical crystals. It is possible to grow a perfect quartz crystal. It's not even that difficult. We can grow them absolutely perfectly. The trick is introducing the inclusions for the interesting looking stones. Most energetic healers don't like man-made quartz crystals. Because, well, naturally it's better. Snooty snoot. It's more powerful if it has the suffering of children on it. Or something like that. I don't know. I haven't been able to find man-made quartz crystals for sale. Because there's not enough demand, there's not enough of a market for it. So I can't get my personal hands on a man-made quartz to find out, is the energy different? I suspect it would be, but I don't know in what way. I want to get my hands on. Like, they can grow enormous, perfectly clear quartz crystals. They're so cool. They're so cool looking. I want one. See, does it change anything energetically? I don't know. There's no research on it. Nothing. 'Tis a question mark. No one knows. No worries. See you later, Isla. Let's talk about the really well-known quartz crystals. Boy, oh boy. Amethyst. Purple to lavender, often with white. Milky quartz or clear quartz along with lavender. If you see something like this picture, where it looks like a great big old geode, that came from Brazil. Brazil has been producing enormous amethyst geodes that often they cut them right down the middle, straight in half. And you can find them up for sale for hundreds of dollars, depending on how big they are and how pretty the stones inside are. They're gorgeous. Use canned air to dust them because they're a little fragile. They've all been coated on the outside with a very thin, like concrete, to try to hold the rest of the stone together because it'll fall apart if you sneeze on it. You can take a lower quality amethyst, so like if the color's a little weird or you're like, it's not as nice, you can heat treat it and turn it into citrine, or if you partially heat treat it, you can turn it into ametrine, which is amethyst and citrine together. And I saw once and didn't get this amethyst citrine, and so an ametrine sphere is about the size of my fist. I regret it. I wanted that stone. Tuloikin says, oh, so that's where we get the little clusters then. Yep. If they cut it and it breaks into 1,000 pieces, and like, dang it, they still sell the little pieces. If they cut it and they get like a section of that geode that's extra thick and really good, they'll cut that part out because they can carve it into other stuff and sell those. These are out of my collection. So you can see the chevron shape of amethyst in there, and also a lavender raw crystal. So there's tumbled stones and also crystals. Citrine. It's a golden tawny brown or amber in color. It's frequently heat-treated amethyst. Mine's not. I paid way too much. It does not hold on to negative energies, and therefore it doesn't need to be cleansed. It's one of the stones that you don't have to cleanse. Hematite transforms energy into a universal ground state, so you can't cleanse it. Selenite, you can't cleanse that either. Energy just slides through it, but negative energy and positive still get in there. And then kyanite transforms energy into a high energy state. So citrine, negative stuff bounces off of it. It's also a stone of wealth. It used to be called the merchant's stone because you could put it in your money box and it would just sit there and passively attract more money to itself because it looks like gold. That's why. They're like, that looks like the color of a gold coin. That must be its associations then. Smoky Quartz. My favorite, actually. I love Smoky Quartz. Gray, black, and deep brown tones. It can be enhanced with heat to deepen the color. It comes in points, clusters, giant lumps carved into other shapes, like spheres. Smoky Quartz will dissolve negative energies, and it helps with meditation. The transition between alpha and beta states in the mind. When you're doing energy work or magic, you're switching into an altered state of consciousness. You're trying to get as close to theta as you can. Beta is useful, though. Alpha is normal waking consciousness. Beta is concentrating on something, so often useful when crafting a spell or when raising and imbuing the energy before you do the spell. Alpha, beta, delta, theta, I think is the order. Delta is right before sleep, and then theta is deep in sleep or way deep in a trance state. But Smoky Quartz helps with that. It aids transitions. And then Rose Quartz. A deep pink, pale pink, and pinky lavender color. This picture, it looks like I've got a pretty lavender tone. That's just some reflected light on it. It's not a lavender rose quartz. It's just a regular rose quartz. Rose quartz crystals tend to be very, very small and really, really fragile. That's why it's really hard to find a single rose quartz point. They're really little. They're really fragile. Spheres and other shapes, if you drop them, they will break. The stone is fragile. Rose quartz is used to balance the heart and crown chakras. It brings a sense of loving kindness and a gentle, all-encompassing love to pretty much everything. So your exercise. In addition to reading the document that I worked so hard on, I skipped a whole bunch of stuff it's in the document about the crystal formations, the specialty quartzes. There's a ton of information in that document. Please go look at it. I worked hard on that thing. If you can get your hands on a copy of Love is in the Earth, do so, but it's not a cheap book. It's out of print. It was published in 1995. It's hard to find. I found one seller that has the updated Last Testament Love is in the Earth book. That is the material from Love is in the Earth plus supplements A and Z and the mineralogical pictorial. And it's almost 1,000 pages. The dog says hi. And you'll find that one for about $200. And you can find Love is in the Earth oftentimes for, I found it on Thrift Books for $45. It's not a cheap book. But if you're really into rocks, you will treasure it. It's so good. Love is in the Earth, by the way, is about 750 pages. Yeah, 720 pages. $726 pages, including the indexes. Your exercise number 4. Go find some chert. Go find a rock. Most of the rocks used in gravel, playground pits, landscaping stones, the rocks used in asphalt and concrete, those are chert. Odds are good, it's chert. It will be a solid color. If it's got bands, it's agate. If it's multiple colors, it's agate. If it's a solid color, it's chert. Find some chert. Sit with it. Meditate with it. Sure, why not? Push energy through it. All right, go for it. Play with it a little bit. And then write about your experience. Turn it in via the classroom with your Discord username, please. This is mostly, I'm making you go play outside. Go play outside with the rocks. It's fun. I can tell you that E went and played outside in her area and found jade. So, you can find some good stuff. I know, snow's covering everything. There's no due date. There's no due date on it at all. And if you're like, I'm not willing to risk frostbite to do that, okay, valid. Valid. Resources that I used for this. Most of the wiki stuff was so that I could make absolutely certain that I was getting the mineral content of things correct, because the Love is in the Earth book does not talk about the mineral content of the stones. It mostly talks about, the crystal structure and oftentimes, yes, about how it grew and whatnot. But the section on quartz in Love is in the Earth is 53 pages long. Just on quartz. That's not including amethyst, rose quartz, citrine, and smoky quartz. Just quartz. Y'all. There's some rocks in this book. I can't believe I made it. With minutes to spare. It's because I skipped those big long lists. Working on a Yakko's World parody with agate because I have nothing better to do. Go you, Alley Cat. That's kind of awesome. Pretty rocks. I love my rocks. They're so cool.